Hey, what up guys, it's Mitsurugi. In today's video I want to show you how you can play aggressively with Mitsurugi in Soul Calibur 6. So, Mitsurugi by default is a close range fighter, so you want to get close and personal with your opponent. However, for a close range fighter, he has a decent range, so you can definitely space people out. However, against characters like Nightmare, Siegfried, Songmina even, I mean, you'll have a hard time doing that and playing the spacing game, you know, like the 6A plus B, the 6B, you know, the shenanigans, you know, the poking as such when it comes to that mid-range. So what do we do against that? You have to get in. How do we get in? I mean, you gotta be patient against zoners. That's a rule of thumb really in any game. But Mitsurugi by itself, I mean, the game is fast-paced. I mean, this is not like the older titles in which you even have to double tap. You cannot not run in this game, right? Unless you walk like backwards or sidestep, of course. So, getting in the first place, you might get hit doing it, but you should definitely be able at some point. I mean, you could, with Mitsurugi itself, especially get in with the mist stance if you see a high coming, which is not unrealistic against, once again, like people like Siegfried. Once you're in, you know, apply the pressure that way. Of course, if you see your opponent whiff, you can always hit them with KB, which is unsafe, but it's not launch punishable, as far as I know, so that's another way. Of course, the knee, which I talked about, which is a very good tool to apply your pressure and get in. Creates this frame trap, so, like I said, this is, you should definitely find a way at some point to get in. So once we are in, how do we apply the pressure? Because this is where a close range fighter shines. So the rule of thumb, keep it simple. Once you're in, keep it simple. I'm going to show you like what, 4 buttons you have to press, and that's all. So by default, what do players like to do when playing online? They like to just stand and stand block, not watch their feet. And the good thing about Mitsurugi is that he has a ton of good lows. We have the 236 that can be cancelled into a relic. He has, of course, this one. He has the sidestep K, which is not launch punishable, I believe. Not that high of a damage, but again, it adds up. And of course, the 1B, my boys, the 1B, which I believe rings out as well, right? Yes. And of course you can cancel it to the A plus B. So this is pretty much unseeable, right? I don't think you can react to this. So we have to focus on this button. So we have, what is the mission once we're in? We have to force the opponent to not block high. So we have to force him to watch his feet. How do we do that? Again, I just told you, this by itself is, I believe, launch punishable. Even the 1B, you don't even have to cancel that. But this one, very interesting, because once they're hit, let me record this as a matter of fact. Once they're hit with this, the 1B, I can't do anything about it. I cannot... Of course, I can't guard impact because it's guard crush. I cannot critical edge. I cannot interrupt it, and of course I cannot like sidestep or anything. That is if I'm hit. Yes, however, if I block it, that's when I can do things. I can sidestep, I can interrupt it. If I time it correctly, yes sir. And yeah, that's the dangerous part. But that is exactly what we want to achieve. Him watching his feet, because once he is watching his feet, that's when we need one button, which is like, I believe, his strongest punish, his strongest launcher as well. If I put him to CPU and tell him to crouch guard all, this, my boys, is a lethal hit. It's a natural lethal hit, basically. So this is very important if you watch the move list to read what causes and triggers the lethal hits. So if you go to his lethal hits in the command list, We should look for this right here. And down below it says triggers upon hitting opponent during a crouching guard. So it doesn't even have to be a counter hit or a counter as such. You just have to hit him and it becomes a natural lethal hit if he was crouching. And that is exactly what we want to achieve. We want to bully him into watching his feet, because again, we have so many lows. We have so many lows to do that. And once we do that, lethal hit city, and this is where his damage comes into play. If I won't drop it. That is a lot of damage for not watching your head and that example. But of course, if you don't have the execution, you can keep it simple. Very good damage as well with 236 charge B. Yeah, of course. So, what is the mix right here? The mix is double low, but of course this is very punishable, launch punishable. That's why you should always opt to go with this one, unless you make the hard read. I mean, that is the issue with, there's the thing with buttons and lows in this case that aren't seeable. I mean, and unreactable. Whose fault is it if I hit him with the low and he blocks? It's my fault because I misplaced it. I went with an attack that is unseeable, so my opponent did not react to it. So he saw it coming, but not really, like visually, but he made the read. So that's when I, as a player, he is in my head. He knows what I'm about to do. He can't see it. So why is that? That's why we have to mix it up with the mid. So he is like on his toes. Okay, what is happening now? And by the way, this attack right here that puts you into Relique, the Relique stance, Mitsurugi's Relique stance has unlisted command. It was very surprising as well. I didn't know that until recent. So Mitsurugi has adjust frame in his Relique stance. So it's kind of tricky. And the best way to describe it is you have to... I mean, let me show you first. The second hit is adjust frame. And you deal more damage with it. There it is. So 49 with the adjust frame, 42 without. And the best way to describe it, to execute it, is just when he is falling to the ground the second time, that's when you have to hit it. It's very... I'm not sure why it isn't in the command list, but lots of characters have like stuff that isn't listed. So again, and at the corner, of course, we can apply this even more. Lots of damage, or what I showed you in the guide, of course. Even if it blocks it with the unblockable, very fast unblockable, guys. Very fast unblockable. It is steppable, even though it's like a horizontal attack. But hey, of course, you have to do something about it, other than yeah, poke out of it. But yeah, and however, these two attacks are both high. These are highs, so technically he could just duck them, even if he blocked my 1B A plus B. Doesn't even have to block. Look at that. We can do this, of course, if he opts to just guard and duck. However, he can poke. If I just do this, he can poke out. I think even like while standing shenanigans. However, I can go with this, which also wall splits. So, and I think, not very sure, that it might even ring out. Look at it. Yes, it's of course a mid, and if they, let me record it, try to press a button afterwards, they should definitely get stuffed. Give me just a second. Command. Alright, do it. Okay, I tried to 2A, which is like the fastest button. One of the fastest buttons Mitsurugi has. And it's getting stuffed. Not launch punishable, I'm very sure. But it should... yeah, you get a BB in. Of course, I mean, you always gotta be wary when doing that kind of stuff, risk-reward. But even though, I think the trade is pretty good because... Exactly, that's why, the guard crush. I mean, it's a guard crushing attack. And that adds up as well. I mean, Mitsurugi definitely does not lack guard crushes. attacks within the stances, the strings, the tings. So, to sum up, bully him into thinking that something, a low attack is coming. Of course, you can add up with the throws as well, which you can avoid while ducking. But again, once you think, yes, I made the read, I'm in your head, you are watching your feet because I heard them, that's when you do the launcher, and it's almost half of his life. And if you add up all the lows, and all of a sudden he's just dead. And of course, if you activate, this becomes even more of a problem for him anyway. Or a crush, you're in 2 mids, both of them. And of course, this one right here. And this in particular becomes a mind game, more or less, because you can cancel it, and you should definitely have the execution to cancel this. If you don't see it hitting, just cancel it. If you see it hit, go with the third hit. Much damage, much damage. And he probably thinks, because you activate it, that the third hit is coming. But if he blocks, just cancel it, and you're safe-ish. I mean, it's a kind of a gimmick, but at least you're putting yourself a bit safer. I mean, like I said, it's a kind of mind game. I'm not sure if you can actually even punish after the second hit. Give me a second. Okay. See, that is huge. I mean, that is huge. If he thinks that you are going to cancel it, again, I tried it with my 2A, one of his fastest buttons. Again, 12 frames, I believe. So if you made him think that the third hit isn't going to come, and he's trying to interrupt you, that's when it comes. Again, I think Mitsurugi definitely a character that shines when you're in your opponent's head, when you make the right read. That's when you, I mean, it's easy to say. I mean, it's definitely always a good idea to be in your opponent's head. It makes your life easier, but especially with Mitsurugi, because the reward for that is definitely very rewarding. No pun intended. So once again, to sum up, bully him into thinking that lows are coming, and when lows are becoming predictable, that's when you're going to mix it up with this one, for example, with, of course, the launcher, but this one, of course, being safe, if you don't want to put yourself at risk. Kind of seeable, but again, if you mix it up, look, he's seeing you step, he's predicting it, the mid, all of a sudden, low. You know, all of a sudden, low. Mid. Launcher. The ting. You know? I think, again, if you can, of course, space them out and be safe at a good range. But against characters that you're struggling, for example, if I don't know a matchup, sometimes I just don't want to play this. Like yesterday, I believe, against Aziel, whatever his name is, throwing his axes and all of that nonsense. Or what? Let me get in real quick and get personal with you and just apply your pressure. I don't think a matchup matters at this point when you do your stuff. But like I said, yeah, that's good stuff, I believe. And again, keep it simple. Just keep it simple. You don't have to know that many buttons. Even if you don't have the execution for the just frame, you can keep it simple as well. But like I said, yeah, that should be it. If you want more content, Soul Calibur content, or Mitsurugi content in general, let me know in the comment section. But hopefully, yeah, I'll be doing that in the coming days, weeks, months ahead. All that being said, that's much for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Mitsurugi signing out. Peace.